Well, hello everyone. I'm forecaster Nathan Kitchens here with Convective Weather. Here's a look at your current temperatures. We'll up to 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Very cold out there. 19 in Kansas City, 10 in Minneapolis, 17 for Chicago, 37 down towards Atlanta, 35 in Dallas. And you want to get some nice warmth. You got to go down to southern Florida. Look at Miami, Florida. 84 degrees. Boy, doesn't that sound nice. 51 there in Seattle, the Pacific Northwest. 60s down from San Fran down towards Los Angeles. Let's take a look at the snow cover across the U.S. We had a very impressive snow system push through the south yesterday. You can see this expanse of that snow cover across the United States. We actually have 51% of the U.S. covered in snow right now. You can contrast that to about 38% at this point last year. So we're actually ahead a good ways of where we were at this point last year when we thought that was impressive. You can see we had some hefty snowfall stretch here across the south. We had 4 inches in Starkville there at the Mississippi State University campus. A record 8.2 in Huntsville. You guys shattered your old record, your old daily record for snowfall. 8.2 inches in Huntsville. That is a very impressive snow event for you guys. And we also had very impressive snowfall stretch from northern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, and up towards the Carolinas. Our very own storm chaser Brad posted some really great pictures on our Facebook page yesterday from his hometown there in good old Louisiana. You can see that snow there coating everything. Very beautiful out there. It's not something they see every day down there in good old Louisiana. Let's take a look at the forecast map for Friday. I made this out here. You can see we're going to have to watch a system bringing snow across from Panhandle of Texas through parts of southwest Oklahoma, through Colorado, New Mexico. It's going to be really the west. It's going to be the big highlight tomorrow as far as active weather is concerned. You can see a lot of snow here across the mountains. Rain, plenty of rain there across the Pacific Northwest for your Friday, and some of those lighter showers stretching through the northern half of California, and just cold and dry across the eastern United States. Let's take a look at how much snow could fall tomorrow across portions of the Panhandle of Texas through Colorado. There's going to be some impressive snowfall totals here across the mountains here, where there's going to be several, potentially a few feet of snow here in the mountains. You can see in the Panhandle of Texas, we're probably talking about a good 3 to 6 inch snowfall, and that snow will actually stretch all the way down through Dallas. So Dallas, I think you guys are going to see some snowfall as well for your Friday. We're going to have to watch this system because it will be expanding once again through the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes will be the area to watch as we head towards our weekend. You can see our forecast map for tomorrow. You can see that snow here. Excuse me, let me go back here. We have that snow for tomorrow across portions of Texas and Colorado, and of course all that active weather across the west. We have a high pressure system pushing off to our east, and we're going to see that snow begin to expand and push towards the Midwest and towards the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley region, once we get later on Saturday and into Sunday. Here's the setup. We have a stalled boundary here. That big area of high pressure will be shifting off to the east coast. We'll have a stall boundary here, overrunning precipitation, and go back to the model here. That snow will expand. By later Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, we're going to see snow falling across Kansas through Missouri and portions of Nebraska, maybe southern Iowa as well. And this is the map by 7 a.m. Sunday. This is off the GFS model, courtesy of Tropical Tidbits. You can see that snow stretching from Kansas City through Illinois. And as we head throughout the day Sunday, this is really going to be from I-70 corridor. It's really going to be an I-70 corridor snowfall event and points to the north where several inches will be likely. And then that snow will begin to push out briefly later on Monday. But it's going to be a very active pattern as another system, a much stronger system, a stronger piece of energy ejects out of the west once we get towards Tuesday. Let's take a look at the WPC, Weather Prediction Center, probabilities for snow. This is for tomorrow across, well, first I'll go here, the map will load. For tomorrow, we're going to see the probability for snow. This is probability for 2 inches or greater. You can see a good chance of that here across the Panhandle of Texas through Colorado and New Mexico for our Friday, as I showed you on my map earlier. And once we get towards the weekend, this is where we're going to have to watch the snow expand, and expand big time. It's going to be a very elongated band of snow for the weekend, stretching here across the Midwest from Kansas through Missouri. Again, this is the probability for 2 inches or greater of snow. And watch this expand as I go forward here throughout the day on Sunday. really good probabilities from I-70 corridor and points to the north. It looks like, you know, areas from Kansas City, I'd say from Kansas City through Springfield, Illinois, up towards Kokomo, Indiana. That kind of general area there looks to be the best chance for that heavier snow this weekend, where it could be as much as 4 to 8 inches of snow in that general area. You can see the probabilities. I'll zoom in here. Again, those high probabilities from Kansas City up towards Fort Wayne. We'll see some lower probabilities to the south of this main band. This is where we're going to see more rain mixed in across southern Indiana and Kentucky. But nevertheless, it looks like another active weekend. We've had a stretch of very active weekends, and once again, the Midwest through the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, certainly going to be a very active weekend for you guys as far as snow is concerned. And of course, that snow will begin to expand towards the northeast by Sunday night and into Monday. Now we got to watch another storm system coming in next week. It's a very active pattern. We're going to see a kind of a brief lull here across the Midwest on our Monday, but we're going to have to watch another storm system come together, a very strong one here, bringing widespread precipitation across the Midwest for Tuesday. This is going to be a strong area of low pressure. It's going to be pumping in some very warm air. Look at our low pressure center here across portion. According to the GFS model, you can see the low pressure across Iowa. Very warm air coming in around the storm system. You can. This is going to be. We're going to have to watch this closely because with all the snow cover on the ground here, and you bring all that warm air and melt all that snow and get some pretty heavy rain, that could cause some flooding. So we're going to have to watch that very closely. Because I think the main story will be the fact that we're going to see some pretty mild temperatures out of this. Parts of the south will be getting well into the 70s. We can see 60-degree temperatures going as far north as, say, Louisville, Kentucky for a brief time. And we could see some severe thunderstorms as well. This is certainly looking more of a spring setup, certainly an early March setup here, where we have very warm air getting drawn in across the south. Thunderstorms will be likely across the south, and we can't rule out some severe weather as well. Of course, that will have to be fine-tuned in the coming days. The Canadian model, it's a little slower and not quite as far north as that center of low pressure as the GFS by all means. You can see that the Canadian is overall slower. This is by 7 o'clock Tuesday evening. You can see it's just now bringing that low pressure here across Oklahoma and southern Kansas. As I go forward here throughout the day on Wednesday, that low pressure ends up tracking much more towards the northern Ohio Valley region versus being way up here in Iowa and Wisconsin like the GFS was showing. And you can see that concentration of very heavy rain across the Ohio Valley, where there could be some flooding problems and maybe even some snow on the backside, as much colder air once again filters much of the Midwest later on next week. So that'll be something to keep in mind. At least we're going to see a brief warm-up. Certainly areas across the south, you guys are going to see a major warm-up into the 70s. However, it does look like winter will be trying to fight back in, unfortunately. But as I go towards I'm going to go here to the long-range GFS, the temperatures. Let's look at the overall temperature pattern. I apologize for not having this map up already. But we're going to see, we have that cool air in place right now. We're going to see a gradual warming through the weekend. My map will load here. High pressure, of course, pushing up to our east this weekend. We can see a little bit of warmer air starting to move back in later on this weekend. And as we head into next week, we have that big storm going to move through the Midwest, and it will be bringing in some much warmer air on that east and southern side of that low. Look at all this warm air. I mean, we're talking a full-blown torch of warm air across the Ohio Valley down towards the south. So if you're tired of the cold weather, at least you're going to see a nice break in that cold weather early next week. But unfortunately, we'll have to deal with thunderstorms. It's going to be a very, very active week next week across this whole region, across much of the country. And once that storm system does pass by beyond middle of next week, we'll have to watch for maybe a secondary area of low pressure bringing some more wintry weather across portions of the Ohio Valley later on next week. And then you can see much colder air filtering much of the central and eastern parts of the country after that. So the winter's going to begin to lose its grip a little bit as we head into next week, but it's not done with us yet, because we will have a nice, pretty nice shot of cold air. Unfortunately, some very cold air, it looks like, later next week. And there is some good news looking at the long-range models. I'm looking towards middle of March. Overall, it does appear that the Arctic air is going to begin to lose its grip some. You can see this is the longer-range GFS heading towards, would be next weekend, March the 8th. You can see warmer air really moving through much of the country now. You can see, according to the GFS, some much warmer temperatures. And I'm going to switch here to the Canadian model. Let's see what it's showing as far as temperatures in the long range. Keep in mind it only goes to 240 hours, so I can't go past that. You can see at least it's showing, it's not quite as warm as the GFS, but overall, I'm looking at the long range signals, and at least I see signs that our pattern's going to try and become warmer once we get towards the middle of March. Arctic air beginning to lose its grip a little bit. Not saying winter is done, but at least it does look like our pattern will be favoring some warmer times across the central and eastern U.S. So we'll see how that goes. So thank you for watching this video forecast. Of course, the big story right now, of course, is the very cold air across the Midwest, eastern U.S. Active day tomorrow across the west. Some much-needed snow there in the mountains of Colorado, down towards Mexico. Snowfall likely for the panhandle of Texas tomorrow. We're going to have to watch the Midwest this weekend for that winter storm to move on through. Well, thank you for watching this video forecast. Hope you have a great evening.